5pmnation.com.
We're all just grains of sand slipping through the glass. When I got the news that you would pass, ended falling on deaf ears. I was half asleep, my mind wasn't clear, it hadn't sunk in. I took your mother flowers, she's pouring tears, having to face her worst fears. It hurts still, after all these years. She found your body that morning. I got a warning from a homie that you confided in. Seen you a few days before it, didn't say anything. I felt like it wasn't my place, I should've said something, that was too late. You and my boy just had a kid, how could you just go and leave us like
Roll
this?
up, all black, this time the vibe's different. Same gang, same thing, this time the crime's different. Seen you face down, 2 shots with your spine twitching. And honestly, when I think about it, got me feeling like my mind's different.
You would run around town by yourself, dog, how could you? They caught you without your phone on, now could you? You took a couple shots to the dome, dog, how could you? And you left me all by myself, dog, how could you?
Tell me it's not true, not you too. You were one of my closest friends. I couldn't pay respects. There were no condolences, I didn't attend your services. It's like I felt like it wouldn't be real if I avoided them. Then you appeared in this dream I had, told me you were dead. I couldn't deny it then, it f***ed on my head. We hadn't spoken so long, I was at fault, it was all wrong. I can never make amends, we'll never be boys again, there's no going back. You always told me that it would end like this. I would just laugh, like yeah right. Either planned it or predicted it when we wrote last night. I don't know what kind of pain you were dealing with that made that sound better than living did. You were there for me through thick and thin, but where was I? This was something I couldn't prevent, but I didn't try.
Roll up, all black, this time the vibe's different. Same gang, same thing, this time the crime's different. Seen you face down, 2 shots with your spine twitching. And honestly, when I think about it, got me feeling like my mind's different.
You would run around town by yourself, dog, how could you? They caught you without your phone on, now could you? You took a couple shots to the dome, dog, how could you? And you left me all by myself, dog, how could you?
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. Goodbye.
Wow, that is How Could You by Truth, T.R.U.T.H, who joins us now by phone. At least, hopefully, this is him. Truth, is that you?
Yeah, it's me, man. How you doing, man?
Great. How are you doing, my friend? It's good to talk to you. We, we've communicated quite a bit on Facebook in the last 24 hours, but it's great to get to have you on the show, and that is such a powerful track. And let's actually, before we get into that, let's talk about what Truth stands for, because it is an acronym. What does it mean?
Okay, so first of all, man, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, you got it.
Much love to everybody out there in New Hampshire and Manchester. So what Truth stands for is, it's an acronym for True Rhymes, Uniquely Teaching Honesty. That's how anybody finds me. You can look up the Truth in all caps as an acronym, or you can look up True Rhymes, Uniquely Teaching Honesty on any app that you might use. You guys can find that track right now. It's available for anybody to stream right now. My bad, I'm a little shook up, man. The track is
no worries.
It brings up a whole lot of emotion. I've been kind of really emotional all morning. You caught the live feed that I did last night on Facebook.
I did, yeah.
And I kind of just been breaking down. as I kind of told you earlier, the friend of mine that I was speaking about in the first verse, her birthday is actually February 15th. And so it kind of always fucks up Valentine's Day for me, and just in general, like, you know, it's emotional. I'm about to get a tattoo in honor of her.
Truth. Just gotta watch the F word, my friend. I had to hit the dump button.
Oh yeah,
on that.
I'm sorry, man. I forgot we were on a.
That's all right. We're on a delay. I caught it, but yeah, no worries. Yeah, so keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's so yeah, man. Basically, just to get like right into it, the friend of mine that I was speaking about in the first verse, her name was we used to call her Tina Bear. You know, her name was Christina Flores, and she took her own life almost about 10 years ago. It was in 2009, I believe, or 2010. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, the person that I was speaking about in the second verse, his name was Andrew. He's actually one of the reasons why I even do music today. Andrew Vega, we used to call him MC Money. He was on a lot of my first tracks on my demos when we first started to create music and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he passed away from, you know, unfortunately, like he always used to talk about he was going to self-inflict an overdose on himself. And I wasn't really talking to him at the point in time when he passed. So yeah, I don't really know exactly what happened, but I'm imagining, you know, he kind of followed through with that.
Wow. Okay. And, by the way, I want to say hello to, let's see, we have NASCAR Nicey, hi Nicey, and Eric Agnon joining us in the Facebook live chat.
Hello.
Yeah. So you're going to get some...
yeah, we're on my Facebook live too, man. Thanks for everybody that's tuning in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, everybody. And so now your second friend, it sounds like it was an overdose, and your friend in the first verse, what was her name again?
Her name was Christina Flores.
Christina, okay. And
we used to call her Tina Bear, and so you know, that's how I refer to her most of the time. But yeah, you know, her name was Christina Flores.
Okay, and what, if you don't mind my asking, what happened to her that led to her what she did?
I mean, I can't necessarily say what she was feeling, but she did reach out. Like I said in the verse, she reached out to somebody she wasn't really close to, that she knew was an acquaintance of mine, or you know, like a good friend of mine that was only an acquaintance of hers.
Sure.
And confided in him, and he reached out and was like, "Hey, man, like your homegirl is really hurting right now. I think you kind of like need to talk to her." And we met up, and I just really couldn't bring myself to like cross that boundary and like even bring it up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And then a week later, she got in a fight with the friend of mine that I referred to. You know, they were together and they had just had a child. They got into a fight one evening, and you know, her mother found her. You know, she had hung herself with a wire hanger. You know, she wanted to make sure that she went. You know what I'm saying? She didn't
my God.
use a regular wire or a rope, something that could snap. She used something that she wasn't going to be able to yank off and think twice about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh wow. Hello to Christian Cunard, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Wow, that's horrific. And her mother is the one who found her.
Her mother is the one that found her, man. And like I said in the verse, I had went out the night before, and you know, I had slept in that day, and my phone was off. So my mom, we all kind of lived in the same neighborhood, and my mom said she was pulling out of her driveway at her home, and she heard like these blood-curdling screams down the road. And so she drove in that direction. It was actually the friend of mine who was dating her at the time. And I guess he had gotten the news, and, you know, he was pretty distraught, and he was running down, the street kind of being, just crying and yelling and stuff, right? So she picks him up and takes him over there, and then starts to try to get a hold of me. Since my phone was off, she couldn't get a hold of me. And so she went to my father's house where I was living at the time and, like, woke me up. and I'm half asleep, and she takes me to go get some flowers and, like, you know, take them to her and everything. And like I said, I really didn't even understand what was going on until I met up with my buddy.
Yeah.
And he, like, kind of tried to confide in me, because I was always like the rock in our circle of friends, and I had never experienced loss like that before. So I didn't really know what to do for him. And he fell apart, and at that point in time, it started to resonate with me that she had even passed away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was it's something that stuck with me my entire life up until this point. You know, like,
oh yeah, yeah.
I've written other material about it, but this is the I don't know, just the song bring this story out of me. You know what I'm saying? To basically, the song is about the mourning process that people feel, where they become angry and they can become resentful. Like, you know, they can feel like blame, like they feel guilt even, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I wrote the song as How Could You, because sometimes people feel like, I've dealt with that for a long time, feeling like if I would have told her something, maybe she'd still be alive today.
Right.
And, you know, that's why at the end of the second verse, like, people have to know you can't save everybody. Like, no matter how hard you're there for people, like, some people are still going to always choose what they choose to do. And, like, there's nothing that you could have done to prevent it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because that also can lead to more. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of suicides come from the fact that they experience suicide. Some people will just follow in the footsteps of what they were experiencing. You know what I'm saying? People lose parents to suicide, they end up committing suicide. People lose siblings, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's just, you have to know that you are enough, even if you can't be there and heal somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And also too, the how could you? I mean, what that kind of evokes for me is that feeling of, you know, how could this person, it's a hard thing to articulate. How could this person do this to us, those of us who loved that person? You know, how could they take themselves? How could he or she take him or herself away from us? You know, like that permanently. You know, and without any, you know, with no recourse. It's you know, it's a permanent
I understand
thing
completely. You know, because that me and the buddy of mine that she was dating, we're not close at all anymore. He kind of cut anybody out of his life that reminded him of her. And you know, he definitely went through feelings of like, how could you just leave our daughter like this and everything? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many things, because I even went through, the reason why we're not friends anymore is because when he was dealing with his period where he was mourning and being neglectful, like, he was kind of not taking care of business and not taking care of his daughter there for a little while. And I even started to, you know, start being like, man, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, how could you not be here for your daughter after she just lost her mother like this? And,
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, you have to try to be empathetic with people. Like, I don't know what it's like to have lost a companion like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, this woman was only a friend of mine. She wasn't a lover or anything like that, you know? So I have no idea what he was going through to make those decisions to be, you know, absent.
Right. And it's you know, when people are going through what they go through, that drives them to that point. Oh, hello, by the way, to Jon C. Hopwood in the Facebook live chat, and I see Randall Kelly in there as well. So hopefully a lot of people are gonna hear this conversation today, because this is important, and, you know, it may help somebody. Something that I think has been a positive over the past, especially in the last 10 years, at least this is my perception. I'm curious, Truth, if you agree with this, but I feel like a lot of the stigma has kind of been removed around mental illness, because depression is extraordinarily common, whether it's, you know, I mean, this time we're in a time of year, and I don't know, I mean, I know it's maybe not so much in your part of the country, but certainly in the Northeast, you know, there's seasonal depression people suffer from, and then there's, some people have chronic depression. Some people aren't prone to depression necessarily unless they go through a traumatic event. I mean, so everyone has experienced depression at one point or another, but some people have it just because they have it. Like me, I struggle with depression. It seems to be in my family. I've had, you'll obviously know this term, suicidal ideations, which is where I've never really talked about this on the air, but, where you think about suicide, but I have this, it's kind of odd in a way. I have this sort of built-in safety mechanism in that, I'm afraid of death. I'm literally just afraid to die. So even when I
can relate to that, absolutely.
Can you? Okay. Yeah. So even when
I obsess about death a lot, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So even when my suicidal ideations are at their worst, I could never harm myself. But I feel like, I couldn't have said that out loud 10 years ago, and I feel like there's been a shift in our culture where people are able to be more open about mental illness and depression because it is so common. And I
agree with that. I feel like being a male, first of all, I mean, not to say that it's any different for males or females, whatever mental illness you might be, having to face. But just, because there's a stigma around being masculine and stuff like that, I know that it wasn't always easy for the male community to sit there and say, well, I'm vulnerable, or I don't feel sturdy as a man, you know what I'm saying? Or like I'm feeling down and I don't feel like I can take care of and provide for my family, you know what I'm saying? And
right.
Yeah, I do feel like it is kind of becoming more accepted. Just not actually accepted, like it's not something we necessarily have to accept as far as like people weren't empathetic to the idea of what was going on with others. Like I was explaining last night, I don't feel like every single person ever has dealt with depression. Like I didn't understand depression for the longest time. I used to be very insensitive to people who felt down because I'm a very resilient person. And I recently, in the last few years, started dealing with depression myself. And I understand what you're talking about as far as like, people do deal with seasonal depression. Sometimes people get like the winter blues and stuff like that. And I can understand how, like, you guys being from the Northeast, you guys deal with a lot of snow and
lack of sunlight.
We come from the desert, so like I can't go without the sun very long. I don't even like being in the Northwest where it's all muggy and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I go without sun too long and I start being weird and stuff. So yeah, I can understand how people deal with like different forms of depression where it could be year long or it can be moment by moment with most people. You know what I'm saying? I remember that last year I was dealing with so much depression that I literally was battling every single day, not quitting music. You know what I'm saying? Like I just like was getting up there in age, and I've thrown a lot of opportunities away, like not necessarily on purpose, but I didn't feel like they were right for me.
Sure.
And some of them were just unfortunate circumstances, and you can't help but look back and be like, wow, man, like maybe this isn't really going to happen for me, or maybe my chance came and went or something, or whatever makes you feel down. Some people, they do like this particular thing is this song is not only for like, this song isn't for the people who, it's not for the people who committed suicide. This is for the people who are still alive, having to deal with the loss of that person that they loved, and trying to make sure that other people don't inflict harm on themselves or aren't successful with the commitment, and don't leave their family feeling these feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is kind of supposed to be like a eye opener to people who are like, you may feel like you're alone, but you're not, and you sometimes need to just sit back and recognize who is actually there for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm somebody who will get a little emotional, like if I feel like I'm not being supported by somebody. Even this morning, like I'm I'm starting to like date this girl and stuff like that, and I was being a little too much for her, And like, I just had to sit back and be like, okay, like this is a new relationship. Like we can't expect somebody to be able to carry all of our baggage all at once. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you have to be understanding of other people too. But I know that being in it's a very sensitive situation to be in, because you don't feel empathetic in the points where you're wanting to harm yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not looking at your life through that perspective. You're not thinking logically at all. All you're saying is, I want to escape. It's the same way that people use drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Is you're trying to escape whatever you feel is bringing you distress and dis-ease. You know what I'm saying? That's why they call it a mental disease, like a disease, because basically you're trying to find peace within the chemical imbalance that you might be facing or whatever,
right.
you know?
Right. That's another safety valve that I've always had myself. In addition to being afraid of death, I'm also very afraid of drugs. So I've never done any hard drugs.
Well, good for you, because I'm super not afraid of drugs, and I've put myself in very bad, like, I'm not suicidal. Like, I'm not the type of person that, like, will usually inflict harm on myself, like cutting or, like, I don't walk around, I don't carry a firearm or anything like that. You know, I don't own firearms or anything, but it'd probably be best if I didn't.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Just, I don't trust myself to have firearms. That's why I don't have them. And
well, that's a good reason.
Yeah, you know, but like, I find other ways to be a reckless person. Sometimes I will, you know, go out on a binge and drink too much, and then, like, I got body slammed in the middle of the street twice
in
my underwear right before Thanksgiving, and I wasn't even having a bad night.
Wow.
Like, I wasn't even mad. I was excited and just, like, decided I wanted to take on the world. I got jumped. I got maced that night.
Oh,
you know
my
what
God.
I'm saying? I got 86 for tons of clubs in my city.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, and then I had been on a destructive pattern since that night, because we had just dropped this record, and I'm having to relive it, and you know, not everybody in the world knows what you're going through, especially if you're like the strong person, and it's usually the strong people who will commit to suicide, and you wouldn't even know. You know, it's always the happiest people. Nobody expected Robin Williams to kill himself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody expected Chester Bennington to kill himself.
Right, yeah.
You know, they spoke to his wife, and she was like, he was so happy, he was so ready to go on this tour.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, other people have, like, their different ideas of what happened with those people, because it's a different situation. You know, there's a lot of different things that get involved in those situations.
Anthony Bourdain was another one. Nobody.
Yeah, that was a big surprise, actually.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people weren't really expecting. I didn't never know he had issues like that. You could see Robin Williams wore it in his eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how
You're right.
vibrant he was, like, you could tell there was pain behind those eyes.
You're
Chester,
right.
he wore it on his sleeve, being somebody who was vocal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But Bourdain, like, no, I didn't follow him very closely, but he always seemed like a pretty jolly dude. He seemed like he was enjoying his best life. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And people don't understand, too. Like, I remember when, you know, this, I mean, obviously this goes back, the early 90s, but, boy, where does the time go? When Kurt Cobain committed suicide, and, you know, people were in disbelief, obviously, and very shocked, but also, I mean, I don't know how old you are, so I don't know how clearly you remember this, but I remember it very vividly. And I
was still pretty small when he died.
Oh, okay. But so I was already an adult, and I can tell you from my perspective, it was like, you know, people who've never experienced depression don't understand that, you know, you can have the world by the proverbial cojones, and have and look like you have everything that anyone could ever want, but if there's something going on neurochemically, you know, all the good things don't necessarily matter if you're depressed. And of course, he was, you know, notoriously depressed. And that's something I try to keep in mind too, is that people who've never experienced depression, you know, I try to be kind of patient with them, because sometimes people who've never experienced it, people who are just naturally not wired to be depressed, they don't understand. They look at people who are depressed as, well, what do you have to be sad about? It's like you're just sad for the hell of it. You've got this great life. What are you sad about? And it's not their fault.
I can understand that, because that's exactly how I used to be.
Yeah.
I used to become very impatient with people who I'm fixing them all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Having a bad day again, having a bad day again, having a bad day again.
Right.
But you're not understanding, like, they're having a bad day again, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like,
yeah.
And you're not understanding it because you don't have bad days.
Right.
A bad day to you is very minor compared to their worst day. Could be something that you would never be able to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
exactly. Yeah.
A bad day for them is your worst day. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. And it's not anybody's fault. Like somebody who doesn't understand that, I can understand from their perspective, someone who's never been depressed, why it doesn't make sense to them. It's
like my buddy's older brother. He deals with his brain just doesn't produce as much serotonin as like the average person's brain.
Yeah.
So he's never really happy. Like he gets his low points, and I'm not sure like if I've never talked to him about like if he's ever experienced depression.
Yeah.
But like we always used to just think he was like just a bummer, and
right.
he kind of is. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't trying to be like rude to us ever. He wasn't necessarily like trying to be a downer. It's just he didn't know, and we didn't know that his brain was operating differently than most of ours were.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like depression does come from different things. Like depression can come from, some people lose their job and that'll create a depression. Some people lose, their loved one, or they end a relationship, or, just some sort of something that's devastating to you. Like when I was younger, my uncle told me, because he's a musician too, he was like, one thing that will connect every single person in the world is pain. Everybody feels pain.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think that's another thing that people forget is that, we get caught up in being in America. We get caught up in being Americans, where we're just like, this is America, and everybody's like so worried about what Donald Trump's doing, and oh my goodness, the government shutdown. Is like, you've never experienced like real poverty. Like you've never experienced what people in a third world country are dealing with. Who deals with depression out there?
Mm-hmm.
Who in Africa who's starving out there is dealing with depression? Who in the Middle East who's lost all their family because of a bombing is dealing with depression?
Mm-hmm.
Or who's committing suicide in these other places?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like that's what I'm really trying to do is get people to come together and stop making it about gender or race or culture at all, because at the end of the day, we all breathe oxygen. None of us can operate without oxygen coming into our lungs.
No.
We can't operate without water or food. And we need to start to understand that the only way we're going to stop hurting ourselves and hurting other people, because not all suicides are self-inflicted. Sometimes they're murder-suicides.
Right.
I had a buddy of mine here. I'm not even close to this dude. I met him randomly outside of a concert one night. I gave him a ride, and he hits me up one day, and he's kind of like, you want to hang out? I was like, sure. He shows up. He's acting weird. I'm not really understanding what's going on with him, and he's kind of getting on my nerves, because I don't even know this dude, and he's kind of being like weird with my people. Like he needed somebody to confide in, but he wasn't trying to confide in the whole room.
Yeah.
So he ends up getting me to a point where I needed to leave. So he was like, I'll give you a ride today somewhere, blah, 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 blah. So I get in the car. He sits down and tells me that his sister's husband murdered his mom, his father, his little brother, nearly murdered his sister who was married to him, and then killed himself.
Oh my God.
And like,
wow.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And like, I'm sitting there trying to be as empathetic as possible with him in this situation.
Yeah.
And, he's drinking and he's driving. And like I said, I'm pretty reckless. So I'm not really like tripping on him.
Yeah.
Like I know that he's having a hard day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's giving me this ride. and he starts to kind of open up to me. And as he's opening up to me, he starts to put my life in jeopardy. And I had to check him and be like, look, dog, I'm not going to tell you that you're ever going to get over this. That's devastating. You just lost your whole family.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's, wow.
I don't even know how to comprehend that. And that's something that like is one of my greatest fears in the world. Is when I was a child, I wasn't even able to sleep over at friends' houses. I'd always call my parents to pick me up in the middle of the night because I would get these haunting feelings that they were going to be in danger.
Really?
You know?
Huh.
Yeah, like I suffer from like paranoia and stuff like that.
Okay.
And paranoid delusions. Like we could go into the extremities of my, like, I'm about to start to become a stand-up comedian because all of the stories that I tell people are so hilarious after the fact, after you look at it through rationale, like, you know, perspective.
Yeah.
That people are like, that's crazy that your imagination even works like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll start trying to connect dots that don't connect together. And like, it's humongous conspiracies come together and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, so yeah, I can understand like that it's not something I could even understand what that dude is going through. But we're in the car and I was like, I'm not going to tell you to stay alive. Like, I'm going to tell you that life is worth living for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what to do. But the moment you start putting my life in jeopardy, then we have a problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. And how did he respond to that when you said that to him?
I think he appreciated me checking him like that because I don't even think he really wanted to take himself out or anything. It's just when you deal with something that's such a tragic event like that, I don't even know what's the word for that. What's worse than tragedy? What's worse than you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, tragedy doesn't seem like a strong enough word. It's like, wow.
And I'm like, that doesn't describe what I feel this man is going through. Man. And sorry to laugh. It's just. You know, I use humor as a form of therapy. Like I'm creating a brand. I've created a brand that's developing programs to help with, awareness for mental illness and amongst other things, you know, that it all could kind of be put under the umbrella of mental illness. But sometimes people aren't necessarily dealing with mental illness. And you know, we're trying to help the homeless and we're trying to help folks that are dealing with like alcohol and drug problems and stuff like that. But suicide awareness is something that has always been something that I've really kind of been passionate about since my first experience with it. Now, the other one was just like I said, I didn't go to my homie's funeral and I had a dream and he came to me. And I was like, you know, you're in a dream. I'm a vivid dreamer, you know, like a lucid dreamer. And so like, I'm aware in my dreams. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, it's good to see you, la, la, la. Like, they trying to tell me that you died. And he's like, I was like, did you die? And he's like, yes, you know?
Wow.
And
are you aware that when you say you're a lucid dreamer, are you aware that you're actually dreaming? Or is it more just that you're kind of in control of your dream, but you don't necessarily know that you're dreaming?
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends, actually, because, like, sometimes I'm not aware I'm actually in a dream. I'm just kind of conscious, like, that.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I'm conscious in the moment how you would be, like, in a, and then you look back, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had this weird dream one time where I was, I don't know if you're familiar with the rapper Logic.
Yes.
But I was, like, at this person's house, arguing with him about something, and then somebody that was supposed to be part of his like entourage turns to me and tells me I'm gonna make it, and I like laugh like, yeah, I know, like arrogant, right? And like I walk out of the house and I end up like getting into a car, and this is where if you were aware that you were dreaming, would be like, this is definitely a dream, because I'm like in a diesel truck, kind of like, I guess you would say like in a monster truck arena type of situation where I'm like ramping the car and it's getting way too much like air for reality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at some point, like I'm losing control of the vehicle and die and wake up and I'm like riding this black horse and like my mom's there and I'm like, oh my God, did I die?
Yeah.
And I wake up.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
And so like in that particular situation, it was like, I was aware of whatever I felt like that message I was receiving in the dream was, that like, you're going to make it, keep going.
Interesting.
Message. I was like, yeah. Like, okay. But I wasn't in control, meaning like there are some points in time where I can make what I want happen in the dream.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like maybe you're doing something and like in the dream police show up and you're like, no, this is a dream. I don't have to worry about that. This is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Or other times I'm just kind of really in the moment, feeling it like it's real life.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I'm like, oh wow, that wasn't real. Like I dream about meeting celebrities a lot.
Oh,
you know
do
what I'm saying? I had a dream that I was hanging out with Tech-9 one night. I've had a couple of dreams about that. But recently I had a dream that I was hanging out with Tech-9 and like he was having a bad night or something and was like trying to have me go out with him to drink or something.
Yeah.
And that was one of the dreams where I was conscious.
Oh, okay.
Where I was like, oh my God, I'm around Tech-9. Bro, you need to listen to my music. Bro, you need to listen to my music. And it's like, it's a dream. I'm not getting that. I'm not actually getting this opportunity right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's a nice dream, though. It's a good dream.
It was a cool dream.
Yeah.
I mean, they're interesting stories to talk about afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. So, tell me about. I want to ask you this about the song. Getting back to how could you? I think I had said this to you online. It's unique in that I don't think I've heard anything quite like it. At least not for a long time. If I have, I mean, it's kind of like a fusion of rock and hip hop in the sense that there's rapping and there's guitars, but it's also kind of on its own island in a way. Like I can't think of anything that sounds.
I could definitely agree with that because I've been like trying to figure out where to market it towards, and like I'm not marketing it only towards the like I guess you would say like the Limp Bizkits or those like rap metal groups that were all coming out in the late '90s and stuff.
Yeah, I
don't feel like it only fits in that category. I feel like it's a lot more emotional. I'm like, wow, I think that like real actual fans of rock and metal could listen to this song and relate to it and get over the fact that I'm kind of rapping, but it's not like a real hip hoppy type of song. It doesn't have a lot of bounce, and it doesn't. And then the chorus, shout out, man. I'm so sorry for not even shouting them out yet, but shout out to Heathen who did the screams and Chopper Manhattan. Those are artists that I work with. I represent Chopper. He has a band called Saturday Night Riot. They're a two-piece. They kind of do like southern rock mixed with like real fast rap and stuff. They're
interesting,
like an amazing group.
Ooh.
And so like I feel like he always has like a unique approach to the vocals. That's why I asked him to be on it.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of trying to hit that, like I hadn't really ever done anything that was mixed with rock. And I wanted to try to I'm always trying to figure out how to do something that stands out. Like I don't ever like to emulate people's sound. I'm never, I do multiple different styles, but I'm not ever trying to I want to sound as like sonically valuable as everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I want the sound quality to be as good as everybody else's music, but I don't want it to sound like them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which I think is smart. A lot of people try to chase trends and whatnot, but the problem with that is by the time you have something that you're ready to put out there, if you're chasing a trend, the trend is already
dying already.
Right, it's already and it's funny too when I'm talking about that with people. I always go back to the Kurt Cobain example again. Imagine if, because you might be too young to really, like I said, I was already an adult when all this happened, but when Nirvana,
people say that he would have wrote better music. People say they don't know if he had anything else in him.
Well, the thing is, when Nirvana really kind of exploded, it killed what we often refer to as hair metal, kind of overnight.
Oh yeah.
And I always say, well, imagine if Kurt Cobain had listened to whomever might have told him, no, you should write some hair metal songs because that's what's popular right now. And then Nirvana never would have happened. And, so by doing what he wanted to do, he changed the world. And it was quick, too. It was, I mean, it happened.
No, I mean, I wasn't necessarily conscious as a person, but I'm a student of music history.
Okay.
And so, I used to sit around and watch the VH1 documentaries of people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of documentaries about Kurt Cobain. So I'm a little familiar with like the sensation they bring upon the world when they decided to like step out of the box and do what they did.
Oh, yeah.
Which I admire for sure, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a track too, like How Could You? I mean, obviously, I think that's something that you know, I can definitely imagine a lot of rock oriented stations playing in the rock format. It's hard to the urban format.
You're a rock station, correct?
Well,
I think that was the one thing I didn't ask.
Well, here at WMNH, I mean, there's some rock. It's actually kind of
a
mix.
You guys multi-genre?
Yeah, it's kind of multi-genre. Plus, there's
Cool.
This is more of a talk show, and the morning show's more of a talk show.
Okay.
Although there's some music, but it's hard to like with a song like that. It's hard to really infiltrate urban stations if you have guitars in there. You know, urban stations that play hip hop are like scared away for some reason.
Yeah, they're not gonna play that record. They're gonna hear guitars and screams in there, and they're gonna be like, "Get out of here, kid."
Right. But
which is cool.
Yeah,
which is cool. I like that actually because I don't really, man. You know what? I've never really fit in very well with a lot of people. Everybody says that I don't know. Like I did my best to create my own sound. So now that I have my own sound, I'm dealing with the catch-22 of now. You have to be willing to be brave enough to present something that they haven't already heard before.
Right.
You know, so
yeah,
you deal with a lot of like, you know, a lot of people tell me that I sound like this dude or I sound like that dude. And I can see where like people have told me that I sound like Be Real from Cypress Hill, which I don't hear, but like that's a compliment.
Interesting.
I like that. You know what I'm saying? Like there ain't nothing wrong with that. Shout out Be Real, man. I'd love to work with him.
Right. No doubt.
You know?
Yeah. And actually, Cypress Hill, they were able to penetrate both urban and rock stations.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I use that reference right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, and I can imagine this song on a lot of modern rock stations because you have like Papa Roach just as one example, you know, a band that you'll hear on a modern rock station, and Jacoby Shaddix does do some rapping, so it's or Rage Against the Machine if you want to go back a ways. So there's a
lot of dudes who come close to being like, honestly, I could tell you that Tang Nine did this song with Corey Taylor from Slipknot a couple years ago, and Corey Taylor really came and he basically has a real rap style.
Yeah,
because he's such an aggressive like vocalist. And like when he does break it down and become melodic, like he mixes it all up real well. But he gets real like as far as the delivery of lyrics, just like an MC would, because MCs like being a vocalist, because I do not only like hip hop vocals, but I do reggae vocals, and I'm just starting to get into like everybody's gonna hate me for it because I grew up like a real hardcore like backpack hip hop kid. Yeah, but I'm gonna start doing the new age like auto tune singy stuff. Like I'm into it. You know what I'm saying? I like to roll with the times. I'm not somebody. I'm not. You know, there was a like big old debate between. There was a big rap battle between like Eminem and MGK just recently, and like I felt like that was cool for like the rapidy rap part of hip hop, which I always love. Yeah. But I like melodies, man. You know what I'm saying? Like even when I listen to rock music, I don't always listen to like the most hardcore like let's just play hard and fast type of. I like it definitely like hard, and I definitely like it like crazy, but I always like it to be able to break down and be beautiful again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I like rock to be a beautiful, destructive thing, not necessarily just hellfire.
Right. Yeah. You like some melody in there and all that.
Yeah. And that's probably why I came out with a melodic rock tone if I was going to blend genres before I ever came out with like a real hard, like tough, like rock tone, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which we'll definitely be doing like soon. We definitely will be continuing to like work with rock tones and everything like that. Like I love rock and roll. I love all different forms of rock music, punk rock music. Like I was outside of a Descendants show when I was getting body slammed that night.
Oh, no kidding.
Like actually shout out to the drummer from, what's his name? Tom or something like that. I don't remember. Dave?
I don't know.
Maybe Dave? Man, I should remember that because he put me on the guest list. That's why I was so excited. I was like, puts me on the guest list. I'm in there. My uncle's the one that introduced me to the band.
Yeah.
And so they, you know, I bring him to the show as my plus one. And so Clean Sheets is like the only song I really liked from them.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I'm the one that wrote that song. So like that was the craziest, coolest experience to, you know, meet him and him be the person that wrote the song that I like. 'Cause I don't really listen to them very closely and stuff, but that's the song that I always like loved and stuff since I was a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
And you know, I got to know him a little bit. He was like, the only reason I'm really like putting you on the guest list is because I had like a girlfriend out here, and where I stay is Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah.
We call it the land of punk rock and dead girls. You know what I'm saying?
Huh.
Like there was a poet that wrote a poem about Albuquerque called the land of punk rock and dead girls, and it
okay.
touched me one night. We were like, we went to Flagstaff, Arizona. He was a slam poet that was on tour, and we like took him to Flagstaff, Arizona. He was kind of like doing like the traveler type of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
just
getting rides where he could and hopping buses and doing whatever he could and stuff. And I've actually done that before. I like hitchhiked on Vans Warped Tour.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, wow.
In 2016. And then I got myself like a placement on Vans Warped Tour, but I got kicked off.
Why?
So,
that sounds like a good story.
I wish it was like some crazy interesting story, but it was just like a big misunderstanding. Like I was hosting a stage in the parking lot, and I'm trying to get this nonprofit off of the ground, and so I was like having people make donations so that they could get like performance slots and stuff, and somebody got a little overzealous, and it unfortunately turned out that like, you know, shout out to Kevin Lyman. Like, he's a cool dude. I met him. I actually almost died on the tour the first year. Like, I got into a car accident. Like, I was basically, like, helping, like, vendors drive.
Yeah.
And one vendor fell asleep at the wheel, slams into the back of a semi. Like, he woke up right before he slammed into it, so he, like, slams on the brakes. We still hit. I wake up.
Wow.
Windshield's all cracked. It looks like I'm in like butterfly effect. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's going on?
That's a hell of a way to wake up. Jeez.
Yeah, man. And then we luckily like nothing happened to us. You know.
Yeah.
And like the semi just left. Like it acted like it didn't even feel it. You
really?
know what I'm saying?
Oh, no kidding.
Luckily, somebody else was on the same highway that I was driving for the night before and came and picked me up. But yeah, you know, it was just unfortunate circumstance. His daughter and I like share a name. Her last name is my first name, and somebody went over there and was like, "Oh, I paid this person to like get in here." It became a big old like fiasco and everything.
Oh,
and he just kind of asked me to, you know, to leave the tour and stuff. And so, you know, that it is what it is. And that's what I'm saying is like I came home from that situation and went into one of the darkest depressions that I've ever been in.
Yeah.
But it also sprang something great because what it taught me is I had thought I had made it already, and we were completely unprepared to be on that tour.
Yeah.
We didn't have any promotional items or anything. Like, I was just winging it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, like, you get this, like, idea in your head that, like, just because you're like, oh, man, like, I'm cool. I'm over here, like, hanging out with all these, like, rock star bands and stuff like that. We're on this tour. And you think that you've made it, and you haven't. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and so, like, it brought me home and put me in a dark place, but to fight through the darkness. Because that's what I do. That's usually what keeps me out of a dark place is I wrote the How Could You song with anger and with screams because that's what gets me through the day.
Yeah.
People will always be like, how come you're so angry? And I'm like, because sometimes you need fire to get you through. Like trains were ran off of coal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you need that sometimes. You need to be able to push yourself through. Like sometimes you just need to develop. Like that's what our programs are supposed to be about. The My Kind of Therapy, so it's hashtag MKOT. If you look that up on YouTube, it originally was just a way that I was trying to like funnel people to our music videos and our content. You can find Saturday Night Riot there. They have videos and stuff.
Yeah, I got to check them out. Yeah, definitely.
You know, but now, like I said, I'm not afraid of drugs, bro. So I snorted a rail of meth and dropped acid and decided, like, because I had to go to this festival in California, and I drove through like Arizona thinking that I was dead and on an endless highway. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then got this premonition telling me that I needed to turn this brand into something that was going to help people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we had already started to create like a clothing line, Like, you can get hashtag MKOT merch and stuff like that. If people are interested in getting hoodies, we're going to be doing a tour in September for Suicide Awareness Month. It's going to be themed around How Could You. We're going to have, I just designed some crew socks that come with the semicolon. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with that symbol. I wasn't actually even very familiar with it.
No.
But, there was somebody who committed suicide in our circle that I wasn't very close with when I was younger that affected somebody who was like my best friend.
Yeah.
And he got the semicolon tattooed on himself, like, real big. And he was the one that explained to me that's what that was about. Right. And so like we decided to go ahead and put the semicolon on the hoodies and use it as just the basic like cover for the track, because what it means is the semicolon is where you would have decided to end, but you continued. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So like, for people that aren't aware of what the symbolism behind the semicolon is,
that's interesting.
It's like you basically decided to continue. You know what I'm saying? And that's what at the bottom of everything.
Cool.
That's what we're trying to make people feel like. You know, I had like a 17-year-old kid in the Czech Republic hit me up one day and tell me that I helped him get through the day, and he was feeling like, you know, he wanted to do harm upon himself, and the music kept him through that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's ultimately, like, at the end of the day, it's not about money. It's not about awards or accolades or publicity or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to give. So, like, if you go and get hoodies and apparel, I try to give a percentage of the money that we're raising from all of this merchandise to a program that was already in existence, like whatever, they have like the National Suicide Awareness programs that you can donate to and stuff. But the company that we were using to distribute the merchandise didn't want to have anything to do with the suicide stuff.
Really?
And so, like, why
is that?
Every time I would try to produce an item, like, they just kept getting flagged. And I basically was just like, we still need to do this.
Yeah.
But we're going to just go ahead and give a portion of the money to one of these funds after, we raise whatever money we raise for the tour and do the tour and everything. Like, after the tour, whatever we raise from merchandise and from touring, and, we're going to be giving back to some of these programs until we can start developing the programs that we're trying to develop for ourselves. You know what I'm saying, to be able to give back to people. Like, I'm trying to make people feel like there's a healthy way for them to express themselves, even if it's through pain, right? Because my sister, right, she deals with a lot of stuff herself, depression and stuff like that. And, when I was 18, she came by my mom's house and she was like, just having a hard day, you know what I'm saying? And she was like wanting to harm herself and stuff like that. And she was, she used to like burn or something like that. I'm not really sure what she used to do, but I know that she used to kind of like inflict pain on herself.
Yeah, people do that, burning and cutting and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
but like I try to advocate for the healthy expressions. Like, if you want to go and get piercings, if you want body modifications, I'll even go as far as saying, like, I imagine that it's very therapeutic for the people who like to suspend themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But do it in an atmosphere that's controlled, and do it in a place where you like aren't going to take it too far.
Right. Where you're not going to end up
like,
harming yourself.
Tattoo artists that are like, we ain't really trying to give you a tattoo if you all faded, man, because we don't want to hurt you.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We don't want you to hurt yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what we're really trying to do, is like, some things that people feel are taboo, we want them to be able to feel a little bit more okay with it. Like you said, it's becoming something that we're able to do, like able to express more. You know what I'm saying? People are able to say, yeah, I do feel depressed, or I do have anxiety, or I may be bipolar, or I may suffer from, schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder or some other personality disorder or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because my sister is actually in the mental health field, and she's helping me develop all of these programs. She was the one that told me that we should probably put everything under the umbrella of mental health.
Right.
But I feel like some of these things are separate issues. You know what I'm saying? I do know that, like, a lot of our homeless population are people who are dealing with mental illness.
Oh, absolutely.
I do know that a lot of people who are dealing with drug and alcohol problems are dealing with mental illness, and they're trying to medicate
They
themselves.
self-medicate, yeah.
Some of these things are just lubricant for our mental illness to be worse.
Right.
I swear to God, we were getting drunk the day that we filmed the music video, and like I'm so glad that I have my team around me because I thought that day was going to be a bad day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it ended up being a really good day because me and my homie, like even the dude who was shooting the video, he was like, "Look, guys, you guys are doing really great, but you need to like stop joking around because you guys won't stop smiling in these shots. It's a sad song."
I can imagine where that would be an issue. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And I was actually a little disappointed. I thought that we might have caught a better footage of my actual emotions rather than I'm not necessarily an actor. I've been interested in acting before and stuff, but I would never say that I'm necessarily like the greatest actor or anything like that. But I could tell it was bad acting.
Yeah, well,
but I'll just be honest. I don't know if other people can tell. Yeah. Somebody tried to tell me, they were like, "It looks so genuine." I'm like, maybe I just don't like. I look like a fat John Mayer with a beard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those shots where I was crying. I had the John Mayer bird mouth and stuff. Like, is that sexy? I don't know.
I gotta watch that now. Is the video up on YouTube? Because I haven't seen the video yet.
The video is going to be available on YouTube midnight tonight.
Oh, cool.
We've had a little trouble. Like I said, I've been on a rampage, and so
Well, see,
I ended up.
And I'm really curious to see it now.
Unfortunate circumstances made it so that I couldn't upload the video for a while.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we're gonna have it up by midnight tonight. Just look up #MKOT. You guys will be able to watch it. You can watch it on Facebook now.
Yeah.
If you go to the Truth page, it's just Truth with dots in between the letters, just capital T. All the rest are lowercase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Definitely will be up by midnight tonight.
Oh, very cool, very cool. I'm gonna look for that.
And it's a way better version too, because the version that we have on Facebook is kind of is low quality. I uploaded it from my cell phone, so the version that everybody's seen so far doesn't even give the video justice. Shout out to RJ Trujillo for filming the video for us. You know what I'm saying? And he decided to do it like this. And let me thank you again, man, because to get on radio is like a very difficult thing sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, like, I don't know when it's actually ever easy. This wasn't even easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all have dealt with trauma, and we're just trying to support each other in this world. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
and I appreciate you doing that, man, because realistically, it helped me be able to present this message to people. Maybe there's somebody out there that was having a bad day. We might have helped somebody today, man, and that's really what it's all about.
Exactly, absolutely, and I would say too, and I'm really glad Jenny connected with you online and hooked us up. And
yeah, absolutely, thank you to Jenny, and definitely I'm going to get you guys those hoodies as soon as possible.
Oh, wonderful! Absolutely. That's great.
Probably by the end of the month.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. And I think, by the way, too, I would just say before we wrap up, I think that, personally, I think the best way to deal with anything negative, whether it's, suicide or depression and all these things is to be creative. And,
absolutely. I would agree with that.
That's what I think is really wonderful about this track that we played earlier. And, we're gonna in a moment. You've been very generous with your time, Truth, and I appreciate it. We're gonna finish up with.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm gonna play this other track of yours that I found online called "Monsters" that I really, really love. And before we do that, and before we finish up, what can you tell us about this song? Anything we should know about it?
So this was actually a very interesting song that I wrote. So like the hook obviously like really builds everything up and puts it all together. And so like when I was writing around what the feeling, because that's how I write music, is I'm used to getting already composed music and writing around the feeling that the composer was trying to like express.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this telling me? You know what I'm saying? So I'm taking the woman's vocals, because that track was, oh man, forgive me, I'm terrible. I tell you like somebody told me it was depressing. They were like, "Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Like, we grew up together." I was like, "I don't remember it. I'm sorry." But Rel. I'm thinking it's Relle.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the artist that released the original vocals, and so the producer Syndrome. Shout out to Syndrome. He actually made both beats.
Okay.
He's from Canada, I believe. I don't really know him personally. I just like buy his work or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like I was taking whatever he had taken from her and made and trying to like relate it to myself. And at that point I wrote that song like right after we got kicked off of the Vans tour or something like that.
Okay.
And so like
Yeah.
I was just really sitting there like I really do have like outrageous thoughts, man. And so when I'm sitting there like feeling like I can feel them creep lurking in my dreams, like I told you guys about my dreams, like my dreams are kind of horrifying and stuff. Like I really have a really morbid thought process. That's why I connect to like metal and stuff. Like metal to me is horror.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I connect to horror. I don't even like horror movies. Like I deal with a lot of like ill spirituality and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so like I've just recently stopped trying to allow a lot of things. That's why I was real eerie about putting out these songs too. Because I work for, benevolent forces in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I put that word in the song because like there's a part of me that really is the worst person in the world. Like this girl that I'm talking to, she's amazing. She's the greatest person in the world. I'm not promising her the world or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest, but like as much as I'm in love with her, like I probably have never loved anybody else as much as I love this girl.
Wow.
Like I was talking to my first love about her for the last 2 days. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I probably would still. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that I would be somebody who wouldn't be susceptible to like temptation or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so I talk in the song about how no matter how much love I get, I lust for more flesh. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a story out there about feeding. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a Native American like tale or something like that about like there's 2 different wolves that everybody has inside of them, and you either feed the good wolf and you feed the bad wolf. And like sometimes you feed the bad wolf,
right?
And that's what kills you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
Sometimes I let my demons get the best of me, and I'll go out and I say in the song, I like to binge. You know what I'm saying? Binge for consumption.
Right.
And like I'm on the verge of destruction. Binge for consumption. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like those things are real. I didn't just like rhyme a bunch of words together. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. No, I know.
There are some things that I wish
yeah.
not to share with the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a song called "You Wouldn't Believe Me If I Told You," and there was something that happened. Like, I really probably am a real fucking psycho, bro.
You gotta watch it, dude.
Like, I'm a real fucking problem in this world.
All right.
But
we gotta Truth. We gotta let you go because you keep swearing, and we gotta wrap up the segment anyway.
Oh, I'm so sorry, dog. I forgot.
That's all right. I caught it, but we do need to go. So we're gonna hit this track, Monsters. I'm really eager to share this with everybody, and keep up the great work.
Hey, man, thank you so much. I apologize, man. I apologize so much for the cursing and stuff, man.
No worries. I know it was an accident, but
I've been doing internet radio for the last everybody's on internet radio these days, so I forgot we was on clear channel.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Don't worry about it. But and we will have you back. But like I said, you've been very generous with your time, and I can't wait to see that video.
Yeah, let's talk more later. I know you got to get back to the show. Thank you so much for the opportunity, man.
Yep.
Hit me later whenever you got some time, and we'll talk about. I'll let you know when I ordered those garments so that you can be expecting them.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, no, we're looking forward to that. Thank you. All right, brother.
Cool,
all right. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right,
Good
Truth.
day,
All right, bye-bye. All right, so Truth leaves us, and we're going to listen to this track. This is called Monsters.
Even in my dreams, they attack me when I sleep. They appear in many forms, trying to trap me in the seat. Every time they speak, I know it's a lie. I gotta clear my mind. They try to convince me that I've already hit my peak, or I'll never rise to the occasion, like I'll never reach my destination. I see through the manipulation. They know what I crave. I'm addicted to destruction, vengeful consumption. I'm always on the verge of erupting. The clock's ticking, I'm strapped with explosives. I'm becoming more vexed. I'm trying to conceal this corrupted cerebral cortex. No matter how much love I get, I lust for more flesh. They want all of my focus. They always trying to hold me back when I'm trying to progress. How do I escape these voices? They're trying to bury me alive. They're in desperate need of the doctor, but they're stuck with hide. There's
monsters stuck in your head, monsters under your bed. We are monsters. Oh, we are monsters. Oh.
I'm stricken with demonic forces, visions of rotten corpses, depictions of four figures riding horses. I ain't talking Porsches, my brain's sick. Something's wrong with my psyche. It's frightening, it might be surprising the most. Maybe it's best if you don't get close. He's aiming right for your throats. Don't get it misunderstood. He's trying to strip you of all that's good. That's his only plan. He's not a mortal man. He's a creature that dwells in the shadows, heartless and shallow, with an evil scowl. All like he devours, he feeds on your fear. He loves when you're feeling doubtful. He wants you to lose control. He's trying to suck every bit of joy out your soul. He wants you to wither away all alone, just a pile of bones, lifeless and cold. He'll haunt you, there's no escape. He'll taunt you until you break. He's watching you through your grave. He's standing over your carcass, laughing with no remorse. There's no questioning, of course there's
Monsters stuck in your head, monsters under your bed. We are monsters. Oh, we are monsters. Oh.
He's a ferocious beast, he only shows his teeth when he goes to feast. It's like music to his ears, hearing your horrid scream. He's a freak, this is a fate that you don't ever want to meet. Your worst nightmares couldn't compete. You'd be a fool to mess with him. He's cruel and treacherous, like Hannibal Lecter is a brutal barbarian. He's devastatingly devilish. Good luck getting the best of him. He's a savage, he's filled with madness, malice, and malevolence. His intention is malicious, mischievous, and malignant. He wants you to suffer. He doesn't care who the victim is. He has no prejudice. He's the definition of dangerous, nasty, mean, and spiteful. Homicidal maniac. There's no form of medicine that cures his condition. You can't stop him. He has no restrictions. He's vicious. He'll send chills up your spine. You'll be horrified. He's the reason you can't close your eyes. It's because
Monsters stuck in your head, monsters under your bed. We are monsters. Oh, we are monsters. Oh.
If I want to run a campaign that is entirely funded by corporate political action committees, is there anything that legally prevents me from doing that?
No.
Mrs. Hobart Flynn, is there any hard limit that I have in terms of what legislation I'm allowed to touch? Are there any limits on the laws that I can write based on the special interest funds that I accepted to finance my campaign and get me elected in the first place?
There's no limit.
So there's none. So I can be totally funded by oil and gas. I can be totally funded by Big Pharma. Come in, write Big Pharma laws, and there's no limits to that whatsoever.
That's right.
Okay, so awesome.
The problem with politics is corporate banditry. No other problems can be solved in that reality. The most important struggle is to get our system free. There must be 50 ways to leave a donor. Big money in politics behaves addictively, and those who are not addicts are attacked like AOC. 'Cause the controlling wealth is fearful of a new decree where there are 50 ways to leave a donor. 50 ways to leave a donor. Donations with a cat hat. Secret donors got to go, Joe. Watched out with the buy it right. 2 kids all free. Let the billionaires suffer. Put an end to their snow job. Corruption can't be. just trying to be real new. Overturn C.U.T.H. Smack down that back, Jack. It's time to agree. Ain't right or left step. Don't live at the loose. Be has be like AOC. Let that be the key. Lip service is not working, though that is what they will try. But there's a way to see right through a cleverly told lie. Those who place themselves for sale cannot be your ally. They've got to know the 50 ways. It's time to make demands and use our power to intrude, to pass a new amendment that cannot be misconstrued. Tell your reps 1,000 times, though they will think it rude. There must be 50 ways to leave a donor. 50 ways to leave a donor. Donations with the cat app. Secret donors got to go, Joe. Watched out with the Biden right to get us all free. Let the billionaires sob up. Put an end to their snow job. Corruption can't be Lee. Just listen to me. It's just trying to be real new. Overturn C.U.T.H. Smack down that pack, Jack. It's time to agree. Ain't right or left step. Don't live at the loose. Be has be like AOC. Let that be the key.
So we have a system that is fundamentally broken. We have these influences existing in this body, which means that these influences are here in this committee shaping the questions that are being asked of you all right now.
It's David Pecker every time. I'm getting so mad at this fool with pictures of Jeff Bezos' tool. He's bringing me down. He's just an ass clown, and he might go to jail very soon. We got to convict that David Pecker. That little Pecker should do time. Pecker's just the worst. God damn it, I'm sick of Pecker. That little Pecker and all his crimes. The little David Pecker should do time.
Welcome back, everybody. We are well into hour number 2 of Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast Channel 97, WMNHradio.org, and, of course, the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And welcome back, everybody, on Facebook. For some reason, the live stream cut out at the end of the first hour, so I restarted it, but it looks like everyone was able to rejoin us. I see Nicey. Jenny is in there. Hello. Fred Bonig from thedailyripple.org. Dr. Jeff Cassell is in there. Jon Hopwood is here in the studio. Or are you John C. Hopwood? Or who are you today?
John C. Hopwood.
The man of many identities. And, of course, you can give us a call at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. And thank you again to T.R.U.T.H. For joining us during the first hour. And I really love, I'll probably play that song again tomorrow, that How Could You? Boy, the name escaped me there for a moment. What a great track. Very, 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 very talented gentleman. Just need to get him to not
F-bomb?
Not F-bomb on the air. That is frowned upon in this establishment.
I've managed not to F-bomb. S-bomb's another word.
Yeah.
Or does it? No, that was an A-bomb.
A-bomb?
I A-bombed Gary.
Oh,
but
yes.
I thought I was off.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know
voice.
this. I was going to say, your voice carries. So, yeah.
Voice of a
And if you don't know, now you know.
Yes.
I really didn't think
Sergeant
was gonna
Hopwood.
go over the air.
Right.
Well, you know. can you do?
So what were you saying to me off air that our president, Donald John Trump, the greatest president in the history of all creation.
I'm glad you got it right this time, not just American history.
No, he's just
both in this universe and the one going backwards.
Right, yes. And in all the many multiverses, even the ones in which he doesn't exist. I'm sure there are some because...
no way.
Really? I don't
You're
know.
just being bitchy again.
I'm sure there is a universe somewhere among the vast array of multiverses where a 72-year-old man who eats nothing but fast food and is obese doesn't live a full life. But here's... so you were saying...
I didn't know you were a homo.
What, a homo sapien?
Homo correctus. Yetis. I didn't know Yeti were part of the... well, yeah. How stupid can you be? Obviously, you're a hominid.
Thank you. Okay. That's the nicest thing you've said to me today.
That Matt Connarton is a homo. I'll say it. I'll admit it now.
Oh, yes. So you were saying that our president just found out that...
Homo correctus erectus.
Yes.
Yes.
He just found out that William Barr and Robert Mueller are chums.
Oh, yeah.
Fishing buddies.
They like each other. Their families know each other.
Yes, yes.
And why shouldn't they? They're both powerful lawyers for big firms and with a history of government service.
So do you think that the president will withdraw the nomination of William Barr now
just
knowing
got
this?
approved by the Senate. I mean, not the Senate.
Was he confirmed?
Not the whole Megillah, but the committee. Isn't Megillah gorilla? Was it?
Megillah. Megillah gorilla.
The whole
yes.
Megillah.
I don't know what gorillas have to do with this, although we were talking about
hominids.
We were talking about Trump.
Homos,
Little joke there. Yeah. Okay, so wait, so that see, I've been on the air. I was talking with Truth. So did I miss? I mean, I know he's expected to be confirmed, but are we? But they didn't vote yet, did they? On William Barr?
Maybe that's why they haven't voted yet.
Right. Oh, right.
Oh, did you hear that the governor of Maryland has called out both sides in the immigration debate?
Both sides? A man after my own heart.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said the obvious to the chuckle-headed president we have, but he went after little Nancy and the chucklehead who was the Democratic majority leader.
Oh, I bet you don't like it when he goes after little Nancy. I bet
saying
you feel
that,
a little protective.
They were, for border obstructions in the past.
Well, that is true. That is true. I've been critical of them. I still say, put DACA on the table and say, you want your permanent wall? We need permanent DACA. And I continue to say DACA. Everyone else says it.
DACA?
Everyone else says DACA. But as I've said, as a New Englander, if I say DACA, I feel like I'm saying darker with a New England accent.
Well, it's
very
one of those
distressing to me.
Vegan. Why isn't it vegan?
It's like
vegetable.
It's not DACA. It's not latitude. It's DACA. It just sounds terrible. So I will continue to say DACA.
DACA.
Just as we were talking before off air about DACA. It used to be pronounced Qatar, and for some reason now everyone says Qatar.
Right. That kind of fizzled out since it was an Israeli organization that was doing the stuff that the Russians were doing.
What stuff is that? I don't know what you mean. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know what that means either. But
and because they are an ally of ours.
Israel?
Yeah.
Well, of course.
I'm not one of these.
Just making sure you didn't mean Russia and there wasn't something I didn't know.
Oh, I guess that gal from Minnesota is being anti-Semitic again, but
Oh, I saw something about that, but she apologized.
Again?
Yeah.
She's going to do. I should go down there and give her, a lessons on how to apologize. I apologize. Which that one antagonized you. Remember that voice?
Yeah, it's interesting.
I apologize.
I remember in the moment your apology seemed insincere.
Yeah, but it was. It was just using the voice I always do to apologize.
Oh, it was insincere?
No, it was sincere.
Oh,
I was just using the voice that I apologize in. I apologize.
Right. Yeah.
I think we first used it as Miss Lindsay.
I don't even remember
you Miss Lindsay, or was I
using that voice?
Mitch McConnell. I apologize.
I was.
You thought it was Miss Lindsay? Was I on a phone when I was doing it?
No, we shouldn't talk about what goes on Matt Connarton Unsheathed on this program.
What goes on?
A lot of role playing. Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
So,
What? That's dope.
There's so much happening in the world.
No, there really isn't anything happening lately.
Did you know?
Oh, I used that mouthwash, the dry mouthwash. Now I got all sorts of sibilance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm salivating.
But your breath is amazing. According to Rick Wiles, the End Times broadcaster, we've talked about him on the show.
The end of times are here.
Well, obviously, but also Rick Wiles has explained why Tom Brady continues to be so successful. We don't really do sports talk much on this show.
Well, Ryan told us after the show he's a Palladian alien.
Well, that's true. But according to Rick Wiles, Tom Brady is also sleeping with a witch.
I thought he was sleeping with Ivanka.
Tom Brady?
Well, he did back in the olden days.
Did he? I didn't know this about...
but she didn't think he was good enough for her.
Really? So he...
Ivanka had big dreams.
So she decided to go with a true alpha male like Jared Kushner.
Right.
Or as I like to call him, the Kush or the Cushionator.
Somebody with something substantial under the belt.
That's why they call him the Kush Hammer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's a masculine fellow, that Jared Kushner.
Hyper masculine.
If I ever met him and didn't know that he was married, I would assume that he was heterosexual and married.
Geez, Tom Brady's lost 3 Super Bowls at least.
Has he?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
he's probably lost. Well, no, he'd have to lose 4. He'd have to lose 5 to have the record.
Oh, well, the ones that he's lost is probably because he's sleeping with a witch. Here, let's.
As if that's something bad.
Well, according to Rick Wiles, it is.
Off.
But Rick Wiles is an End Times broadcaster and very Christian.
Oh, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. But that's a mistranslation, Matt.
Oh,
it actually meant a yetta, or is it a yenta?
That's
something like that.
They're both very offensive. Let's hear Rick Wiles explain himself.
It's obvious Tom Brady has no spiritual discernment at all. Mm-hmm. It's obvious that he's spiritually lost. He's being led through life by a witch. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's cute. He thinks it's, pardon the pun, charming, mm-hmm. and he thinks it works because he keeps winning.
Does it work?
Apparently.
That's a really interesting question, Doc.
How dare you?
She said, look what he said. She said, I did my work.
Yes.
You did your work. You're lucky you married a witch.
A good witch, though.
Aren't all witches good?
But he believes.
All right?
Yeah, he believes.
They all say they're good.
A soothsayer. He thinks she's
true.
A soothsayer. He trusts her, right?
Yeah. And he sleeps with her. He's sleeping with a witch.
Shocking.
There's deep spiritual ramifications for that. He's sleeping with a witch.
Right.
His soul is defiled because he's having intimate relations with a witch.
Right.
She's a witch. She's not just somebody who has some goofy New Age ideas. She's a witch.
Right.
Now, I was not aware of this, by the way, and I must tell you...
Giselle is a witch.
I didn't know that. See, the only time I get interested in sports is when there's a scandal, like when Deflategate happened a few years ago. I was riveted by Deflategate, but I must say, at no point while that was all going on, did I hear anyone mention the witchitude of Tom Brady's lovely bride. Well, I had no idea.
Well, she only recently came out as a witch.
Oh.
But she's Brazilian, there's a lot of witchcraft.
Oh, yes. I don't believe in stereotypes, but I do believe in making them up randomly just for fun.
Sure.
And yeah, Brazilians generally are witches.
I think at least half.
Have you ever met a Brazilian who wasn't a witch? I sure haven't.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's why we import so many of them into Lower Connecticut in the early part of this, the end of the last millennium. Beginning of this to smooth things out, the whole thing in the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, It worked very well.
Jenny,
at least in Wall Street.
Jenny in the Facebook live chat says the greatest of all time rocks, so does his altar. I had no idea about any of this.
Oh, precious gemstones.
Oh,
Yes.
right. Now, I do recall, though, and this explains when I was a child, I used to watch reruns of Bewitched, and I do remember there was a reference to Darren, Samantha's husband, having a very successful NFL career.
Daryl.
No, it's Darren.
Daryl Dion?
No, Darren.
Was it Dion?
No, Darren.
Dion.
And Samantha's beleaguered husband,
Oh.
who I believe had quite the throwing arm. So now it all
Jeez,
makes sense, yes.
Look at that picture.
Wow, what picture? Are you looking at nude photos on your phone of Tom Brady? That is disgusting.
There it is,
Though
an
I
altar.
shan't, well, here, let me put the camera on you. Oh, why not?
I'm not going to show you Tom Brady's altar.
Well, that would be a terrible
Is
violation.
the camera off?
Now it
Is
is.
it?
No, it is.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it is, yes.
There. See?
I can barely.
Giselle,
that's-
she's not part of my coven, but I know somebody who knows somebody who knows.
Oh, right.
Who's Brazilian?
I know what you mean by coven.
I coven your coven.
Oh, my goodness.
Covet your coven.
How dare you, sir? Jenny.
Oh, look at that, man. You can
What?
actually see it. The White House
Ooh.
pass.
Oh.
They get to go to the White House.
Oh, right.
Does that mean Ivanka? But Ivanka and Giselle don't like each other.
Well, they're not going to. Well, yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, Giselle's a witch, and Ivanka is not going to tolerate
yenta.
that. Ooh. Jenny in the Facebook live chat says, "Hey, Maddie, what do you have in your pocket? Some protection and good health, maybe." Well,
Jeez,
I
I
don't.
think somebody's put a hex on
That's
me.
we don't discuss what's in my pocket. Again, that's a subject for Matt Connarton Unsheathed.
Swear it.
Which is not carried here on WMNH. That is only available on the dark web.
Isn't that before Jenny met the squirt? Now he's only like this size. Pocket
He's
size.
a little squirt, yes.
Oh,
And he has some small hands. Hello to Derek Relaford, who joins us in the
Is that
Facebook
the
live
Derek?
chat. What?
Is that the Derek the squirt was looking for?
No, different Derek.
Oh, ooh.
Jenny says, chicken. I do not have a chicken in my pocket. How dare you? That would be
Wow, look at
disgusting.
There's the White House. There's the White House pass, and the that's part of the altar.
Okay.
You thought I was just you.
I didn't know what was going on.
682. What does that mean?
682?
That must be Giselle's lucky number.
Oh,
and I just gave it out.
yes, you did.
We ought to play that. Is there a numbers game in Amaskig?
I don't gamble. Let's see. Oh, Jenny says, don't want to show off your precious stones. No,
Cool.
I can't show. I'll get kicked off of Facebook permanently if I start showing my stones. Yeah, that is not allowed. You are not allowed to go full frontal.
No, your blockos are allowed on WMNH.
No, what?
Your blockos.
Yablacos?
Yablika.
Apples.
Apples. Means, I guess the Yiddish would do. Let's not.
Jenny says, and we do so much witchcraft for you. No poor Jewitches?
Here's
I don't
a picture
understand.
of Giselle's leather jacket.
Oh, can I show that?
Yeah, but
That's a nice leather jacket.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know that's Giselle's?
Because that's my bathroom.
Oh.
I have my powers.
Oh, wow.
Here is, I was doing a tarot reading for Giselle.
Okay. Yeah.
La Force.
So why are you?
Frappe.
So you're sleeping with Tom Brady's wife? Is what you're claiming?
Are you crazy? I don't want to lose my Yablacos.
All right. Yes, you don't want to lose your Yablacos or apples. Certainly. Jenny says, Christian and I, for shame you, see if we bathe your stones again. I can bathe my own stones. My goodness.
Oh, there's the look at that.
What is that?
She gave me I don't take payment,
Right.
That's a big thing, got me into a big feud with somebody.
Sure.
But she did give me a multicolored gemstone that looks like a peacock for Amaskig. The Suzanne of Amaskig. If you can ever get off your stump and actually, get this going.
Now, will that help you win a football game?
I don't play football.
But if you did, you could with that, right?
Football? You mean American football or soccer?
American football.
I'm not much of a fan.
So I haven't seen these tweets yet. TheHill.com has the story up that you were referring to.
About what?
Omar apologizes after Dem leaders blast tweets as anti-Semitic. I haven't even seen this yet. I mean, I was aware of it, but I haven't looked at it. It says, freshman representative, and then a window pops up. Freshman representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat of Minnesota, apologized today for tweets suggesting that American lawmakers were motivated by money to defend Israel. Omar's apology came after she spoke with Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who, along with other House Democratic leaders, called on her to apologize for the use of use of anti-Semitic tropes about Jewish people and money.
I apologize.
You know, that should be common sense, but I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but politicians generally not the most self-aware people. Heidi Hamer says, good afternoon, Matt, and who's the guest there? This man is Jon C. Hopwood. You may have met
I apologize.
at one point. He's a bit of a local celebrity.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Ooh, what?
That's Giselle's other. I'm not gonna. You can't see.
Oh, my goodness!
It's the Mighty Mite, the little sprite that accompanies her. Is the camera off?
Yes.
Isn't he cute?
Wow, that's.
Oh yeah, he doesn't speak English very well, which is part of his charm. Because I'm an old-fashioned fart from the born in the 50s.
Sure.
I always find people with bumbling accents charming.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
So Omar, one of the first 2 Muslim women elected to Congress, said in a statement, quote, anti-Semitism is real, and I am grateful for Jewish allies and colleagues who are educating me on the painful history of anti-Semitic tropes. My intention is never to offend my constituents or Jewish Americans as a whole. We have to always be willing to step back and think through criticism, just as I expect people to hear me when others attack me for my identity. This is why I unequivocally apologize. It's a good apology.
Apologize.
Now, what's that? Can I put the camera on that?
Yes, it's a famous Jewish American.
Who?
Can't you see?
Sort of, but it's a little far away.
Do you need glasses?
No, I have 20/20 or close to 20/20 vision.
You can't zoom in on it.
I had LASIK, No, I can't zoom in with the cameras.
What's the Honorable Joel Elber?
Oh, that is him. Well, he just looks
he's
like
in a bathrobe.
Well, he just looks like a bald guy. All bald guys look alike. They all look alike to me.
Why is Giselle sending me pictures of the Honorable Joel Elber in a bathrobe?
So the Honorable Joel Elber is sleeping with Tom Brady's wife, is what you're saying?
He's a Jets
This
fan.
is a scandal. Well, that's even more of a scandal. Well, I can't believe this. This is no wonder he left the show.
It is actually a Jets car.
Wow,
they wouldn't allow that in the Giselle Bundchen.
No, they would not. That would be quite offensive.
Bundchen.
Yes.
All
right. Right. Yes.
Well, there are a lot of Germans.
Something about Libra.
Brazil.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
I'm a Libra.
Sure you are.
Oh my God, these girls don't have any clothes on.
Oh my goodness. Well, we don't.
Warwick women's rowing team.
I was raised in a good Catholic household. We don't approve of nudity.
You don't?
No, it makes us very guilty.
Jeez, that's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like this one. When you go visit the, the Brady Munchen, they live in this huge mansion, and, they buy food in bulk. Is there a shame to that? Because,
not at all.
You have the coven that comes and everything. This is one of my favorite things, well, when you see it, there's the various things. So if they say, oh, can you go get some of those protein shakes?
Uh-huh.
This one is plant-based protein.
Oh,
but
sounds delicious.
Giselle pronounced it protein. Protein, which I guess, I laughed at her.
She says it funny because she's a Brazilian witch.
No, but if you go into the English, the Oxford Dictionary, you're supposed to pronounce it protein.
Oh, really? Is that true?
How did I know? How am I supposed to know
Is that really true?
Right.
That's
Qatar,
crazy.
Qatar.
I pronounce things American.
Moscow.
Oh, that's crazy.
Protein.
No, that's let's see. Here, Trump has something to say about this, I think.
About protein versus protein?
Our nation.
This very subject.
Many of our greatest strides, from gaining our independence to abolition of civil rights.
I don't know what the abolition of civil rights has to do with protein, but for some reason,
is he blaming the Jews for that too?
I don't know. No, I don't think he's blaming anyone.
I think
he's in favor of it. I think that was something to throw out to the base. I may not get the wall built, but at the very least, I'll try to abolish civil rights. What a great president!
Civil rights is so 20th century.
It's an antiquated idea, really. It's
no, it is for Republicans.
Well, now careful. Now you keep poking the bear. Somebody's going to call up and say, "Oh yeah, what about Hillary Clinton's emails?"
Always Russians. You're always Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Russian bear. I'm tired of being tarred.
Well, I didn't
with
mean
the
Russian bear specifically. I was speaking metaphorically.
Yeah.
I don't mean an actual, literal Russian bear.
No.
No.
Oh.
Let's see. We should check in with Virginia, where the Virginia's for lovers and blackface
and Luftmenschen.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It says here, according to Reuters, Virginia Democrats hold fire on impeachment of lieutenant governor. It says here, this is the latest as of today. Virginia Democrats pressured Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax to resign today over accusations of sexual assault, which he denies, but held off on pursuing impeachment, with the Republican Speaker of the State House urging restraint. Really? Fairfax is one of three top state Democrats engulfed by scandal this month. Governor Ralph Northam and Attorney General Mark Herring have also faced criticism after admitting they wore blackface in the 1980s. Patrick Hope, a Democratic member of Virginia's House of Delegates, said he believed Fairfax should have resigned already after two women accused him of sexual assault, but added he would not move immediately on his weekend call for impeachment proceedings. Adding to the pressure, much of the lieutenant governor's staff have resigned since the second accuser came forward on Friday, according to his spokeswoman, Lauren Burke. They included his policy director and his scheduling director, as well as the executive director and a fundraiser at his political action committee, the Richmond Times-Dispatch newspaper reported.
Right.
The accusations of racist behavior or sexual assault against the three men have rattled party leadership in a swing state that likely will play a pivotal role in the 2020 U.S. presidential election.
How is wearing blackface racist, Matt? We had a discussion about this several months ago.
Well, I'll tell you what, when Trump goes to Virginia to campaign, he can be like, hey, at least I've never worn blackface. So that might help him.
Maybe there's that skeleton in his closet. How do we know?
Well,
maybe
that's true.
Pecker has covered that up.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, that's another big scandal that Pecker might have 86'd.
You know what's interesting is...
What is interesting, Matt?
Well, people didn't like Jeff Bezos before because he's the world's richest man. But now people are looking upon him as kind of a hero for standing up to the National Enquirer.
Oh.
You know, he reminds me of Liam Neeson in the movie... what is the movie where he says, I will find you and I will kill you? Where they kidnap his kid or something.
Schindler's
Is that
List.
Taken? No.
Which is a great movie.
That is a great movie. Is it Taken?
That's the last movie I saw with him in
With Liam Neeson?
He was one of the knights in Excalibur, which I watch every year, being, a crazed Celt.
Great actor, but everyone's mad at him now because context doesn't matter in these politically correct times that we live in.
What has he done? No, he's been incorrect?
What happened is,
what did he do?
Well, his current film, I forget what it's called, but it's a revenge.
We can't remember any of his movies. The only one I can think is Schindler's List and Excalibur.
Yeah, and Taken. Because there's
Taken, that was it.
Because there's Taken, and then there's Taken 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's got to be
he's great in both of those.
They snatch his daughter.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Mel Gibson movie, but we don't want to bring Mel into this.
And then there's
Celt.
Taken 3. Why don't you just take everything?
That was Steven Seagal.
I think you're right. Direct to DVD.
Russia.
But he's a Russian agent. Why isn't he swept up in the Mueller probe?
And not related to Katie Seagal. I found that on Matt Connarton Uncut.
They're not related.
No, they're not. Don't you remember?
I remember us talking about it, and I remember you saying they were related, and I was like, are you sure?
That's right. You weren't there that night for Matt Connarton Uncut. It was Slicko that was...
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah, he had to fill in for you.
Yes.
We were at the Blimpies in Portsmouth.
Were you helping Sean Michelonis serve subs to our brave men and women? serving his country? Well, he wasn't there.
No.
That's terribly disappointing.
No. He was organizing some charitable event.
Oh, good, good. So Liam Neeson.
Say who?
Liam Neeson, the actor.
The Irishman.
He is, yes. Is he Irish or Scottish? He's Irish?
Irish.
He's Irish. So he was being interviewed about, like, how do you get in the right mindset for this role where you have to take revenge on someone? And he talked about how decades ago, when he was a very young man, he had a friend of his who was raped. And it turns out this woman was raped by a black man. So then Liam Neeson started going into black neighborhoods and tried to be sort of antagonistic. He said he did this 7 or 8 times because he wanted to be attacked by a black man.
Why would he say something?
So he could react violently. Yeah, very, very bad idea for him to retell that story.
He actually told this story?
He told the story.
But he's a classically trained actor. You don't have to do stuff like that. He's not,
right.
Dustin Hoffman,
but
a method actor.
But he revealed this about himself. But the thing that I want to stand up for him because it's like, well, wait a minute. This was decades ago, and he specifically says, unequivocally, he says, that was wrong. That impulse was wrong. Oh, you mean
he's not talking about he's doing that now for the
No.
It was after somebody got raped.
Right. Decades ago when he was young and foolish.
An idiotic.
Right, exactly. And he was just blinded by rage and wasn't being reasonable.
He's 6'4".
He's a very tall man.
Yeah,
so he explains all this. But
and Irish.
But everybody wants to blackball him. Everybody's acting like he has these attitudes now.
What do they want to do with him, Matt? Oh, you got close there.
Got close to what? Is that not the right term?
Blackball.
Right. Are we not supposed to say that anymore?
Oh, Matt.
Are we not? Because I can't keep up with all these rules. All these social justice warrior rules. There should be a website that has all the rules on it. So like what words you can say and what words you can't.
I can't believe you'd use the word blackball. All the good... is it enmity? No, enmity is the opposite thing. Amity, you were building up, crashes to the ground.
Amityville Horror? Is he in that?
No, but I think Rod Steiger was.
I was building Amity.
Amityville.
Speaking of, all right, I'm going to talk about the dream that I had the other night. He was
an Irishman. He was probably drunk, and they loved to fight. So
yeah. People are talking about him like he's this raging racist.
I am a bigot, but for the left. So
Oh, right. Well, then it's fine.
I'm quarter Irish.
Oh, you are?
Sometimes half Irish. Depends on my mood. How much I'll admit to. Sidmore.
I had a dream the other night.
Was it a lucid dream?
I wouldn't.
Notice how I'm fiddling with my tie.
It was very vivid. Oh, yes.
Were there any...
it was very vivid.
Stones in it?
No, it was a very vivid dream, though. And
it was vivid.
I dreamt I was in a basement.
Ooh.
And there were ghosts.
Oh.
There were ghosts in this basement trying to get to me.
And what were they trying to get?
They were just trying to get to me, like they were trying to hurt me. And someone was with me, and I don't know if it was one person or a group of people. But, and I became very aggressive with these ghosts, these unseen entities that I felt were malevolent and nefarious. And I started...
That's stereotypical.
And I know, right? I don't mean to stereotype, but, well, these ghosts, they're all the same to me.
Maybe they wanted to sleep with you.
Maybe, but I don't consent to that. So I became very aggressive with them, and I started swearing at them and telling them that they had no power over me, and I was very aggressive and mean to them. And then I woke up, but it was actually a good dream. I have a lot of nightmares, but this was a good dream. I woke up feeling empowered.
I had a dream the other day.
Isn't that a strange dream? Interpret my dream. What do you think it means? You're a smart guy. You must have read a book about dream interpretation at some point in your life.
You still are pining for the co-host slot on Norm's Community Corner.
I think you're right.
It's highly evocative.
I think you're right.
The tragic ending of your career with Norman.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Malevolent entities that wanted to get their hands on you.
Right. Yeah.
Do things to you that you really didn't want to be done to you.
Well, that is true.
Like that.
Right.
You're tolerant, but, you have your limits.
I do have my limits.
Right. Some people, they see all that hair, the hairy chest, the hairy behind, the hairy stones and all that, and they can get carried away, particularly, when, the moon is waning waxing, and you start it's a Yeti. You start getting abominable, and you have to shuck your Mickey Mouse shorts, just to be able, because you always did get them cut too tight. Yeah. Oh, I heard all the rumors.
What was you said you had a dream?
Yeah, but now I can't remember it. Had something to do with the Army.
I had to tell Jenny about my dream because I didn't want to forget it, because you know how dreams fade.
Yeah, because now I can't remember. It was in the Army. Somebody was making something, a friend of mine, women should be in combat, the standards are too high, blah, 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 blah. And I had a dream about Army and combat and stuff. I was never in combat. I listened into a few things, but, I thought, it was so vivid and I remembered it, but I didn't write it down. And until you just mentioned it, but there's hardly anything left.
So I got a Facebook message from this gentleman, Robert, who I believe is the...
You mean Robert?
No, I think it's Robert. He's the father of one of the guys in... who's the band I interviewed?
Truth.
Friday. No, Friday. Sepsis. Sepsis was here. But I guess he's the dad of one of... Oh, he sent me a video of their band practice. He says, every Sunday in my basement practice, they have a different sound, some awesome music. I have so many videos, but most are too large to share. They have some great moments at the places they played, however. You must be busy as heck, Matt. By the way, where did Scorch end up? Last I heard, and that he was, and that was a while back, he was in a cage at Verizon Arena for animal shelter awareness. I don't really know Scorch. Do you know Scorch? I mean, I know.
Larry Storch is he just turned 96.
I know plenty of. I have a lot of mutual friends with Scorch.
Scorch or Larry Storch?
But and I was on his show once. Do you remember Scorch? He used to be on Rock 101.
No.
And he used to have a local show called PFG, which stands for Pretty Good TV.
On 101?
No, well, the PFG was on some cable channel in New Hampshire. I think it was syndicated, though. It was on a bunch of stations. But he
we're not talking about old television actors.
No, but he also had a radio show on Rock 101. But I was a guest once on PFG TV with a band I was in at the time called Chemical Distance. But I haven't kept up. So, Robert, if you're listening, I don't know where Scorch is now. I haven't.
Scorch isn't
I
part
don't
of
really
Sepsis.
know him that well. No. This gentleman, Robert, he's the dad of one of the guys in Sepsis.
Oh.
And they practice in his basement.
This is confusing.
I remember those days being in a band, practicing in a basement. That must be why I had the dream about being in the basement, and the ghost must represent band members. Except, why would that be? That's very strange. Can you interpret that part for me?
Synchronicity.
Joe Lar says Scorch in Michigan or Wisconsin doing morning radio, and is still doing the cage bit. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, Scorch used to do this thing for which I really respected this about him, for to raise money, I think, for the animal shelter, where he'd sleep in a cage, like a kennel cage, and you could donate money.
What, to get him out of it?
I think so. I think that was the idea. Or you could throw coins at him, and he'd catch them in his mouth. And no, you couldn't throw coins at him. I'm kidding.
I know
about
that Ted Gatzis had a thing where you could throw things and dunk them in the water, but that was before we started our feud.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. So Scorch is in Michigan. Yeah, I have a lot of mutual friends with Scorch, but I never really got to know the gentleman. I was always intimidated by him. The guy's name is Scorch.
Well, I thought, Larry Storch doesn't take calls anymore because he always thinks they're calling him back to Hollywood. He lives in New York City. He's 96. F-Troop?
I remember F-Troop.
Where can we say Indian fights? Where indigenous peoples fight.
It's part of the song, the theme
song. Sight.
Larry Storch is still alive?
And Liz Warren takes a licking.
Liz Warren was on F-Troop?
Oh, my God. Liz Warren had to admit that her bar card from the state of Texas for 8 years says that she's Native American.
This whole thing with her just doesn't go away.
Yeah, and she just admitted. Notice how she apologized for portraying herself as Native American for 8 years in academia. The day of the, what's it called, State of the Union? Is it SOTUS? State of Union?
SOTU? State of the Union?
We speak the French. Oui.
So too, Brutai?
Oui, so too. C'est so too.
Oui or something.
Right. She releases it before so too. And, so it kind of gets buried because, we're all going to pile on
She doesn't have any,
Thunderhead.
She doesn't have any chance.
Oh, Elizabeth Rock wants to know whether Bernie actually got his response on the TV. Because as a socialist, he,
Response to what? I don't know what you're talking about.
To Sotu. He was supposed
Bernie
to
is French?
Bernie Sanders, he was supposed to talk about the,
They used to say that about
Union.
John Kerry, that he looked too French to be president. Remember that?
No, yeah, oui.
That was before the Swift boating started. They were like, oh, he looks French.
Le bateau Swift.
Oui, poo-poo.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I almost got me.
Oh,
Almost got me to swear in
right,
French.
yes.
Quebecois French. So Liz wants to know if Bernie's response to Sotu was actually on le téléviseur.
Yeah, actually, I
C'est bon?
I watched it. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I don't remember much about it, so I guess it didn't make that much of an impression on me. But I kind of like Bernie. I find him. I'm probably the. I know.
Weekend at Bernie's.
I'm sure I'm the only person who feels this way, but I find him sort of weirdly charismatic.
Ooh.
But I remember saying that once to you, and you were like, "You think he's charismatic?" I actually do think he's charismatic.
Well, I actually
in a very old man kind of way. I remember you saying he's not a very warm person in person.
No.
Which actually doesn't surprise me.
Sure.
But I like. Well, you know what I liked about Bernie was I enjoyed watching him debate Hillary Clinton. I just thought it was fun.
Oh yeah.
And I felt that Bernie, you won't like this because I know she's your girl.
Who?
Hillary.
Oh, I hear that old hag is thinking of running again.
Oh, old hag? My goodness. For real?
Did I say that?
Do you think there's a chance that she's actually going to run
With
again?
her ego?
Really?
Jeez, cheese and crow.
Yeah, let me ask you this, though. What about Hillary Clinton's emails? Huh? Yeah, what do you have to say about that?
I bet they wiped out the good ones. Yeah, and that disc that they gave in was, it was what they say, manufactured.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. How do you like my accent?
Did you know Cory Booker is single?
Yes, and reportedly he goes out to see Les Danseurs de Go-Go.
Dude, if he wins the presidency, he's going to have all kinds of ladies. Can you imagine?
Yeah, ladies and, les hommes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the movie The American President with Michael Douglas? And Annette Bening? Yeah, he was a single president.
Oh, oui, with Bening Annette.
Yes, Annette Bening.
Les Français.
So it can be done, at least in the movies.
Brad Swire. Hey, what were we talking about before you got me distracted?
Well, I was talking about Liam Neeson, but we kind of covered that.
Oh, he's a drunken Irishman, 6'4".
I don't think he deserves the hate that he's getting.
Likes to get into fights.
Yeah,
and we all know Irishmen are racist.
I don't think he's still 6'4".
That's why I had to get
He's pushing 70. He's probably down to 6'3". I'm sure he's lost an inch.
The Reverend James P. Shannon, after those remarks he made about the Lollipop Guild, God, yeah,
that ruined his career.
Yeah, well, at least at WMNH. You, being a Yeti and very sensitive, you will brook no bigotry, particularly against vertically challenged people, which I appreciate as a vertically challenged person myself.
That's why I've been on the air so long. Can you believe in April it's going to be 28 years here at WMNH?
Is that
gone in the blink of an eye? No, it's been 28
Yeti years?
28 long years, but short at the same time.
28 divided by 7 is only 4.
Somebody was telling me
I've known you that long.
Somebody was telling me the other day, Matt, it seems like you've been on for like 30 years. I said, no, it'll be 28 years in April.
4 dog years.
No, it's on
WMNH.
No, I've been here for that long.
Ah.
Yeah, I remember I started out. I remember the very beginning. I started my career in radio with Red Skelton was my partner, and then he died.
And then he died again.
And
again.
Yeah, and then
he's
I've
died 4 times.
Been kind of a solo act ever since. I mean, there's various people who come in and out, but boy, those were the days. What a career I've had.
Is that a car on the flag of the Le City de Manchester?
I'm going to be
Is that a car?
72 years old in October. Is what a car? Where?
Is that a car? Is that an automobile? Or is it the choo-choo?
On the flag, it looks like a train.
The train, choo-choo, choo-choo.
Boy, you're going full French now.
I
bet if I went to UrbanDictionary.com right now and looked up full French, I wonder what I'd find.
You know what Labor Vincent means?
Labor Vincent. I do not. What does that mean?
Victorious.
Is that French?
Work.
Oh, victorious work. What kind of work is victorious? Like when you get a lot done?
Victoire.
Like if you have a good day at work, you go, what a victorious at work day.
Victoire de choo-choo. Yeah.
When you work on the choo-choo, when you throw the coal into the thing, keep the train going?
Choo-choo Coleman, you remembered. He was the catcher on the 1962 Mets.
Well,
so you do know your baseball.
Of course I remember that.
I tricked you into that.
Well,
and
I started out, before 28 years ago, before I started this show, I did a sports talk show for 5 years.
And when Casey Stengel...
Also here at WMNH.
...introduced Choo-Choo's missus to the media in New York.
Oh, boy, I remember that.
What did he call her?
I don't even want to go there.
Mrs. Coleman.
Right, no. I know, but we all knew what he meant. Oh, boy.
And, Choo-Choo was a catcher of color.
That's right. That train kept a rolling.
The receiver noir.
The receiver of noir?
Noir.
Noir?
Oh.
It's not hard to say that word because it kind of has two syllables, but it kind of only has one syllable at the same time. You know what I mean?
What gets me is les eaux, the two shining eyeballs in the flag.
I don't like those. They follow me wherever I go.
I think that they're actually some type of surveillance device.
Probably because wherever I stand in this room, those eyes are on me, and it freaks me out. Not a big fan of the Manchester flag for that reason.
So you were talking about Qatar and the Israelis, right?
Oh, they were one of my favorite groups growing up, Qatar and the Israelis.
Them Israelites. That was a great song. Is that ska?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
We don't want to end up like Bonnie and Clyde.
I wish we had that in the system here.
Oh, me Israelite.
I'd play that if we had it.
That means he doesn't want holes in his pants. Did you know that?
Of course I knew that.
Oh, yes. You see, when you know French,
right.
It's the universal language.
Oui.
And if you don't know, now you know.
I think we've all learned something here today.
Oh, I did. Not to come back.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that's a terrible thing to learn.
Me.
Huh?
Well, I was feeling suicidal, but now I've been pepped up. I feel pepped.
That's good. I'm glad you're not suicidal anymore.
Pop music. Pop.
That's a good song.
How come people, like this T.R.U.T.H, he's so influenced by rap. Why not early 80s MTV pop? Why isn't that, coiled its arms around white youth?
Well, next time he comes on, we'll ask him.
Pop
truth
music.
isn't truth.
Oh, my goodness. What?
Pop music. Pop.
I don't know how old he is. He might not even remember that song.
Does anybody remember MTV from the early 80s?
Yeah. Lots of people do.
What's that new tattoo? Oh, you got caught again, huh? And they had to mark you.
I don't want to talk about that. That's humiliating. Well, we are out of time. We got to go. Thank you.
C'est vrai?
Thank you, Jon C. Hopwood.
If I remembered the word from time from my 6 years of French.
C'est vrai?
Les temps fini?
Oui.
C'est vrai.
Thank you to Truth for calling in earlier. That was very nice.
Le T.R.U.T.H.
Yes. And thank you, everybody in the Facebook live chat. And I'll be back tomorrow.
C'est vrai?
Oui. Yes. And if you missed any part of today's show, it'll be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org. That's it for now. Talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
IPMNation.com.